Now let's look at conditionals when we use another data set that you are now familiar with. We're going to dive into the course catalog data set today, which, as a reminder, is the set of all courses offered at the University of Illinois during the fall 2019 semester. So as with every data set, Carly's here and she's going to help me out, and she's going to go ahead and load up the course catalog data set. This data set, along with all of our other data sets, are on my faculty website, and this one's going to be at https://waf.cs.illinois.edu/discovery/course-catalog.csv. So for the first puzzle on this sheet, puzzle 3 of our conditional series, we have the University of Illinois uses the hundreds value in course numbers to describe the level of the course. Specifically, the courses numbered from 100 to 199 are freshman level courses, 400 to 499 are senior level courses, 500 to 599 are professional level courses, are graduate level courses, and 600 to 699 are professional courses. Let's explore a subset of these data of our courses. So the first one, description is we want to select all of the courses that are freshman level. So to do this, we're going to want to look at the column number, and we want to find out where the number column is between the values 100 and 199, because we know freshman level is 100 to 199. So now we need to write a more complicated conditional. So here we have two different statements, because there's no way for us to tell Python that we want the numbers to be between two sets of numbers. Instead, we know that every number that's between 100 and 199 is both greater than or equal to 100 and less than or equal to 199. So we need to write two different conditionals and combine them together with an and sign so that we have the result being only the conditionals, or only the data where that matches both of the conditionals. So to do this, I'm going to follow the exact same syntax we followed up to now, where we have df with a massive square bracket, so that in the middle of a square bracket, we can write different conditionals. And when we want to write two or more conditionals, we need to put each individual conditional inside of parentheses. So I'm going to have two sets of parentheses, and I'm joining the conditionals together with an and sign, which we represent as simply a single ampersand inside of Python. So this is the basic recipe that allows me to write two conditionals that both need to be true to make the entire logical statement true. So my first condition is I want to know where the number is larger than 100. So I'm going to say df.number is greater than 100. And we want to include 100 as well, so I want to actually say greater than or equal to 100. So this is going to include all of the courses from 100 and larger, so 100, 101, all the way up to 999. But I don't want to include any of the courses above 199, so I want to say and df.number is less than or equal to 199. So this is going to be every course between 100 and 199. So Carly, I saw you've been following along.
Yeah.
And you've got this command?
Yes, I just ran it, and it says there are 784 rows, 10 columns for freshman level classes in fall 2019.
And if we look at the number column, what do we see across the number column, both at the top and the bottom?
All numbers between 100 and 199. So we have 100, 105, 120, 199. So it did include 100 and 199.
Awesome. So we saw both of those edge conditions, and we saw once you get past 199, the next row isn't their 200 level courses, but it's now a different subject's 100 level course.
Yes, exactly.
Awesome. So second one is select all of the courses that are professional courses at the University of Illinois. So here, this says professional courses right up here. We're defining them right now to be 600 to 699. There are a few 700 courses that are very special courses, mainly for third-year professionals. We're going to go with the problem's description. So we're going to say the problem description says it's 600 to 699. So I'm going to follow this exact same syntax, and I'm going to say df square brackets. I know I'm combining two conditionals because I need to know what is greater than or equal to 600 and less than or equal to 699. So my first conditional is going to be df.number is greater than or equal to 600, ampersand to join them, then another set of parentheses to say df.number is less than or equal to 699. So if we run this code, Carly, what do we see?
We see there are 185 rows where the number is between 600 and 699. And then I have as the numbers 612, 631, 632, all the way up to 694.
Awesome. So we see the same idea here, that we've got only the 600 level courses here. We don't see any freshman level courses. And this is the same data set. This is the data set of every course in Illinois. And we're selecting only the rows that match the criteria, the conditional that we're specifying. So this allows us to dive into a particular subset of our data and then in the future potentially do further analysis on it. So here is a more interesting question. The description says, select all senior level math courses offered at Illinois. So now we have a number of different criteria we have to match. So the first criteria is senior level. So we know senior level is every course that is going to be greater than or equal to 400 and less than or equal to 499. And we need the subject to be math. So now we have 3 different conditionals, and we use the exact same process of adding an ampersand to chain these conditionals together. So we say df at, the first conditional is going to be df.number is going to be greater than or equal to 400, and df.number is less than or equal to 499. So we don't want to include any of the 500 level courses. And df.subject is exactly equal to, so double equal sign. And then because math is not a number, we need to include it in quotes. And then we close out the parentheses and close out the square bracket. So we have 3 different conditionals. Number has to be larger than or equal to 400. Number has to be smaller than or equal to 499. And the subject has to be math. And what Python's going to do when Carly runs this is go through every single course in the entire course catalog and check if only if those 3 conditionals are true, is that data going to remain in our output. So if you go ahead and run it, how many senior level math courses do we have?
Let's see. I'm going to do dot count to double check, and we have 41.
So 41. So when Carly runs this code by itself, she's going to see 41 different rows. And then by adding dot count at the end, she sees that there's 41 records for each variable.
Yes, exactly.
This one, now we see that we're going to get a very similar problem for question D. Select all graduate level courses in computer science offered at Illinois. So we see that graduate level, looking at the problem description, it says 500 to 599 are graduate level courses. So here we want to do almost the same thing we did in part C, except for now the number needs to be in the graduate range, so between 500 and 599, and the subject needs to be CS instead of math. So the whole statement is df at, square bracket. The first conditional is df.number is greater than or equal to 500, and df.number is less than or equal to 599, and df.subject, and because we want an exact comparison to CS, we need double equals, and we'll say that is equal to CS. Because CS is not a number, we need to put it in quotes. Close out my parentheses, close out my square bracket. So if we just run this as it is, we should see a number of different rows.
Yep, a lot of rows. And then I added dot count to the end, and there are 46.
We see there are 46 different graduate courses at the University of Illinois offered in the Department of Computer Science. And then finally, part E is going to be something that you should be able to even predict exactly what we're going to do, because now we want to know all sophomore or 200 level stat courses offered at the University of Illinois. So Carly, just before we even type it in code, you're faculty in stat.
Yeah.
200 level courses. Are there very many of those in statistics?
I think there's only 2. 200 and 212 is my prediction.
Okay, so let's go ahead and write the conditional, and then we'll see if Carly knows all of her stat courses or if there's one more that nobody takes.
Yes.
So this is going to be sophomore level. So we need to, the first part of the conditional, df.number, it needs to be greater than or equal to 200, because it needs to be a 200, at least a 200 level course. And df.number is less than or equal to 299. And dot subject is double equal to stat in quotes because it's not a number, close out my parentheses. Remember, every single part of the conditional needs to be in a set of parentheses, then close out my square brackets. So once I have that we want only the sophomore level courses, the 200 level courses between 200 and 299, and the subject is stat, again, Python's going to go through the data set and only return the rows where all three of those statements are true. And
I was right.
Carly, you were right.
Yep,
So,
stat 200 and stat 212.
awesome. So statistics only has 2 sophomore level courses, and they're in statistics is kind of interesting because the department, your department mostly specializes in 400 and 500 level courses, right?
Yes, I think we actually only have one 300 level course and then internship. I guess there's a 300 level internship course, but one actual course that students can take.
So this is the type of analysis that you can begin to do as you look at different departments and see how different departments have different offerings at different levels. So this is just a little bit of diving into a data set and seeing how we can write more and more complicated conditionals to answer more and more complex questions about our data.
And I encourage you all to look at your departments and see if you can find anything interesting using this data.